Alright, I'm going to be making my famous Portobello mushroom garlic aioli burgers. We're going to start with pretty much my signature burger recipe that I use for every burger. I'll show you that, but also over here I've got the Portobello mushroom caps under some onions, butter, garlic, salt, and pepper. And the extra, I cut the caps because they're really thick, so I cut them a little bit. So there's some extra mushrooms in there for those who like the sauteed mushrooms, and onions. Those onions will get nice and soft and caramelize, and those will go on top as well. So this recipe, you can use just about anything you want when it comes to cheese, but the biggest thing is we need good meat. So get yourself some 80-20. This is Angus 80-20 ground chuck. Make sure it's 80-20. You don't want to use lean. It just won't grill right. So you don't want to do that. Alright, so we put that in there, and we're going to throw in, now I normally would do bacon and cheddar, but because of the mushrooms and the garlic aioli, I'm going to use some crumbled blue cheese this time. I want that sharp, rich flavor in there. You don't want too much, because your burgers will not bind if you have too much filler in there. So you don't want to overpower it with a lot of cheese or a lot of bacon bits. So then we're going to take some real bacon bits. Don't get the hard, crunchy ones. Get the real bacon bits. And again, just a little bit. We don't want a ton in there. You're just putting it in there for flavoring. And you want it to bind. So you got to be careful with how much you put in there. So we are going to combine this all together. Now I'm feeding 3, so this is a pound. I'm going to make 3 1/3 pound burgers. That's what this is for. That's about the right size for a standard burger. It's about 1/3 pound. Some people you can go with half-pound burgers, but to me they don't cook quite right. They cook a little too fast, and they dry out a little too quick. I'm sorry, not half-pound, 1/4 pound. You could get 4 burgers out of a pound, but I don't think they'd be very good. So I go with 1/3 pound. So then we're just going to separate that into. Separate this into 3 roughly even balls, and then just pat those down. Now I don't use a press or a any sort of shaper or anything like that, like some people do. We're just going to press them into good-looking patties like so. Try to get them as evenly compressed as possible. You don't want it too thin on the edges. You don't want it too thick in the middle. It just won't cook as evenly as you want. So you want to get them as evenly pressed as possible. And these are going to sit out here on the counter for a little bit. That one's actually a little thin. If you get one that's a little thin or a little light, just take some meat off of one of the others. Kind of press it in there, get them nice and even. I'm going to let these sort of combine, get all that cheese on there. We don't want to lose any of that cheese. Alright, now on all my burgers, I'm going to put on some Worcestershire. A little A1. We're almost out of A1. And I forgot it. I forgot to get my steak seasoning. So I like to use this Monterey steak seasoning from Grill Mates. I know a lot of guys like to make their own seasoning. I find this stuff it's not too salty. If I were to make my own seasoning, this is what I would want. So I don't see the point in making my own steak or burger seasoning when I can buy what I already want pre-made, right? What would be the point in that? Get a little more A1. You don't have to be super, careful about how you get it on there. We're just going to get it on there. That sauce is going to caramelize a little bit on the outside. It's going to help this bind. And that's it. So these are going to rest out here for a little bit. I'm going to have some bacon that's going to go on the grill with these. You'll see here in a little bit. Those are going to go on very soon as the coals are hot, so they can start sauteing. And these are going to go on about a half an hour or so after the mushrooms. So I will be back when we're ready to put those on. Okay, so tonight we're making the Portobello, Portobello cap and garlic aioli burgers. But to start, before we do the burgers, and this will probably fall within the middle of the video, but before we start, I want to make the garlic aioli a little bit ahead of time so it has time to chill in the fridge and for all the flavors to incorporate. So we're going to do this first, and I'll show you how it's made. It's a real simple aioli recipe. It starts with 3/4 cups of mayonnaise. You can, I just use regular real Hellman full fat mayonnaise. Obviously you could use whatever you wanted, but for me, I want all of that flavor in there, so I don't want to lose any of it. And then we're going to have, it calls for about 3 cloves, and yes, I use minced garlic that comes in a jar. It's a whole lot easier, but we're going to put in, I don't know, it's about 3 cloves. You can't have too much garlic in a garlic aioli. You got about 3/4 teaspoon of salt and 2.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. I did not freshly squeeze the lemons, no. That it's not happening here. And then it calls for like 1/4, the recipe I have calls for about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I like a little extra fresh ground black pepper. Alright, and we're going to mix that up good. And I will post this recipe in the link below so that you have it. But if you have your own favorite recipe, by all means use it. So we're going to be having the my signature burger, which is a bacon and cheese mixed burger, which you will probably have already seen, because again I'm going to do this portion of the video will be somewhere in the middle. And if I was better about pre-planning my edits, I would have thought about that, and I would have fooled you guys into thinking that this wasn't happening before. But it is happening before. Mix that up nice and good. And then I'm going to cover this and put it in the fridge. And we will be eating in about an hour and a half, so that's got a good amount of time to chill and to incorporate, to get all those flavors in there, really get that garlic infused and that lemon and all of that great flavor. So there's our garlic aioli that's going on our burgers tonight. And yeah, I'll see you back in a little bit with the rest of the process. Alright, here we are back out at the grill. Oh, you're going to see my face for a second there probably. So the mushrooms are going really good with that garlic butter and the onions there. And now we're going to put the burgers on. So first thing I'm going to do is we take this real good thick cut bacon here and put that on. You want to get that all over the grates and start to sear it just a little bit on each side over the coals. That bacon nice and hot, and get that bacon grease on that on those grates. And you don't want to cook it real long, and we're not gonna leave it over that, because that bacon's gonna cook the whole time that we are cooking the burgers. It's basically gonna smoke that bacon. So I'm gonna put that bacon up away and over the, why not drip a little bacon grease in there, right? So now we're gonna put the burgers on. We'll give those about 5 or 7 minutes aside. Should have thought about that camera placement before I did that. We'll give those about 5 to 7 minutes, probably about 7 minutes aside. Those are pretty good thick burgers. We're going to come out and flip them. We'll flip our bacon again, and then after another 7 minutes or so, we're going to come out and toast the buns and get the cheese on top of these, and then we'll put these burgers together. So I will see you in about 14 minutes or so. Okay, we're back out at the grill. It's been about 14 minutes or so, and I don't know if you can see those very well, but we got a good caramelization going on the burgers, so they're looking really good. So it's time to put the cheese on. Just got some white American cheese. And we're going to flip that bacon over so it can cook a little more. Actually, hadn't got as crispy as I like, so we're going to actually take this bacon down here. Alright, we're going to give that cheese about 15-20 seconds to sort of melt and get nice and gooey on them. We're going to actually move these because we're going to toast our buns just like we did with the pork sandwiches. Move those up off the direct heat. If you don't have a second rack in your grill, you can just move it over to the side. Always remember, when you're grilling, you want 2 different heat areas. So I've got all my coals on this side, and this side there's no coals over here. It's still hot, as you can see this bubbling, you know, but there's no coals under that, so we're not frying that. All right, so those are going to go up there for a minute. And then we're going to put these buns on there. These buns are a little bigger than I would normally use. We bought them for Italian beef sandwiches, I think. So I'm going to take my scissors here, and I'm actually going to cut this bacon, this nice thick butcher bacon that I picked up. Get good bacon when you're grilling. Don't use the cheap, don't use Oscar Mayer bacon. It's the same price to get bacon from your butcher, and it will cook better, and it will taste better. So get good bacon. Getting a little smoky. I'm guessing our buns are getting nice and toasty. Yes. Getting there. I'm going to go ahead and close that for a minute. Let those get nice and toasty. Let that cheese get nice and smoky in there. And it doesn't take long. Be careful with the buns. You don't want to burn them. That's pretty good. That's kind of what you're looking for. Nice brown. A little crispy. have one of these, I'll put one of these together. We'll show you what she looks like. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So just put those right on there. Grab you one of your Portobello caps. And then we're just going to put the garlic aioli right on the top bun. And there you have my Portobello mushroom burgers with garlic aioli. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to go inside, finish these up, and I'm going to eat. You guys have a great one. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.